Welcome, weary wanderer, to a journey through the extraordinary finale of the amazing world of Gumball. Tonight, we'll explore the deeper meanings woven through chaos and comedy, from the nature of endings to the eternal bonds of family. This is a story of conclusions that become beginnings, of characters who transcend their cartoon origins, and of love expressed through beautiful pandemonium. So settle in, get comfortable, and let your mind drift as we walk together through the wonderfully absurd yet profoundly meaningful world of Elmore. Close your eyes when you're ready, and let's begin this contemplation of what it truly means to reach the end of a story that was never really meant to end at all. In the grand tapestry of animated storytelling, few shows have dared to examine their own existence with the philosophical depth and gentle irreverence that defines the amazing world of Gumball. This remarkable series stands as something far more complex than its colorful chaos might initially suggest. For within its seemingly random episodes lies a sophisticated meditation on the very nature of narrative conclusion, the meaning of endings, and the eternal cycle of stories that refuse to truly die. From its very conception, Gumball established itself as a show that existed in constant dialogue with its own fictional status, a cartoon that knew it was a cartoon, yet somehow transcended the limitations such awareness might typically impose. The series demonstrated an almost unprecedented willingness to break the fourth wall, not merely for comedic effect, but as a genuine exploration of what it means for characters to exist within the confines of episodic television, where time moves in circles rather than lines, where consequences can be reset with each new episode, and where growth must be carefully balanced against the demands of an eternal present. This meta-textual awareness reaches its most profound expression in the show's approach to finales and endings, where the very concept of conclusion becomes a character in its own right, a force that the Watterson family must confront with the same chaotic energy they bring to every other challenge life presents them. The finale of Gumball is not simply the last episode in a series, but rather a philosophical statement about the nature of narrative closure, the impossibility of truly ending stories that have taken root in the hearts and minds of their audience, and the beautiful tension between the need for resolution and the desire for continuation. Throughout its run, Gumball consistently demonstrated that endings are not merely plot devices but profound existential events that reshape the very fabric of the universe in which they occur. The show understood that in the world of animation, death is temporary, consequences are negotiable, and time itself bends to the will of storytellers who may choose to reset, rewind, or completely reimagine the rules by which their characters live and breathe. Yet within this flexible framework, the series found ways to explore genuine growth, real change, and authentic emotional development that resonated far beyond the boundaries of its cartoon origins. The genius of Gumball's approach to endings lies in its recognition that finales are not about providing definitive answers, but rather about asking better questions. What does it mean for characters to grow and change when their world is designed to maintain a status quo? How do relationships evolve when time moves in cycles rather than forward progression? What happens to the bonds of family and friendship when the very nature of existence is called into question by the demands of narrative structure? These questions become particularly poignant when we consider the show's treatment of Rob, the character who serves as the physical embodiment of narrative necessity and the driving force behind many of the series' most meta-textual moments. Rob represents something unprecedented in animated storytelling, a character who exists specifically to create endings, to force conclusions upon a world that would otherwise continue in perpetual stasis, spinning its wheels in the comfortable rhythm of episodic television, without ever truly moving forward or reaching any form of resolution. Rob's transformation from forgotten background character to active antagonist represents one of the most sophisticated examinations of the relationship between storytellers and their creations that has ever appeared in children's television. He is simultaneously the author and the authored, the creator and the created, existing within the story while also standing outside it, manipulating its structure with the detached precision of someone who understands that characters are ultimately tools in service of larger narrative purposes. Yet even as Rob embraces his role as the force that brings endings to Elmore, the show treats his character with the same compassionate complexity it brings to every member of its extended cast. He is not simply a villain, but a necessary function, not merely an antagonist, but a character driven by the same fundamental desire for meaning and purpose that motivates every other resident of the show's wonderfully chaotic universe. His pursuit of conclusions stems not from malice, but from a deep understanding that stories without endings are ultimately stories without meaning, narratives that exist in a state of eternal potential, without ever achieving the catharsis that comes from genuine resolution. This philosophical depth extends to the show's treatment of meta-commentary itself, which serves not as a gimmick or a source of easy humor, but as a genuine exploration of the relationship between reality and fiction, between the world we inhabit and the worlds we create through our imagination and storytelling. Gumball understands that the line between these realms is far more porous than we might typically assume, that the characters we create and the stories we tell have a life of their own that extends beyond our conscious intentions and continues to evolve long after we have finished writing them. The series consistently demonstrates that awareness of one's fictional status need not diminish the emotional authenticity of the experiences being portrayed. Indeed, the show suggests that such awareness might actually enhance the emotional impact of its storytelling by creating a kind of double vision that allows viewers to simultaneously experience events from within the narrative and observe them from without, appreciating both the immediate emotional content and the larger patterns and themes that give that content its deeper significance. This sophisticated approach to meta-textual storytelling reaches its culmination in the show's treatment of endings, where the very concept of conclusion becomes a collaborative process between creators and characters, writers and viewers. The demands of narrative structure, and the messy complexity of emotional truth. The finale of Gumball is not something that happens to the characters, but something they actively participate in creating, a conclusion that emerges organically from the relationships and themes that have been developing throughout the series, rather than being imposed from without by the arbitrary demands of production schedules and network programming. In this context, the concept of a finale becomes something far more complex and nuanced than simply the last episode in a series. It becomes a meditation on the nature of time itself, on the difference between chronological progression and meaningful development, between the artificial constraints of episodic television and the natural rhythms of emotional growth and family evolution. The show recognizes that in the real world, families do not reach neat conclusions, but rather continue to grow and change and surprise each other in ways that defy easy categorization or simple resolution. Yet within this recognition of life's essential open-endedness, Gumball finds ways to create genuine moments of closure and catharsis, scenes that feel like natural resting points in the ongoing story of the Watterson family, even as they acknowledge that the story itself will continue long after the cameras stop rolling and the final credits have finished scrolling across the screen. These moments of resolution are earned not through plot machinations or artificial dramatic devices, but through the gradual accumulation of small truths about love, family, growth, and the beautiful chaos that emerges when imperfect people try their best to take care of each other despite their own limitations and flaws. The series' approach to endings ultimately suggests that the most meaningful conclusions are not those that provide definitive answers, but those that illuminate the questions we have been asking all along, that show us not where we are going, but where we have been, not what we will become, but what we have always been, beneath the surface, confusion, and complexity of our daily lives. In the world of Gumball, endings are not about reaching destinations, but about recognizing the journey, not about solving problems, but about accepting the beautiful impossibility of existence itself, the miraculous fact that consciousness can emerge from chaos and love can flourish in even the most unlikely circumstances. As we prepare to explore the deeper meanings embedded within this remarkable finale, it is worth remembering that the amazing world of Gumball has always been a show about the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary, about the profound truths that can be discovered in the midst of apparent nonsense, and about the ways in which comedy and chaos can serve as vehicles for exploring the most fundamental questions about what it means to be alive, to be part of a family, and to be connected to others across the vast and sometimes lonely expanse of existence. The finale represents not an ending but a doorway, not a conclusion but an invitation to look more deeply into the beautiful complexity of a world where anything is possible and love conquers all, even when it arrives disguised as mayhem and madness. In the vast cosmos of animated storytelling, there exists perhaps no concept more haunting or philosophically profound than the void, that strange liminal space where forgotten characters drift in eternal suspension, neither fully alive nor completely erased, existing in a state of narrative purgatory that challenges our most fundamental assumptions about the nature of existence, memory, and the stories we tell ourselves about the world we inhabit. The amazing world of Gumball's exploration of this concept represents one of the most sophisticated examinations of what happens to the elements of our lives that we choose to forget, ignore, or simply allow to fade from conscious awareness, yet which continue to exert their influence from the shadows of our collective unconscious. The void serves as more than merely a clever plot device or an opportunity for metatextual commentary. It functions as a profound metaphor for the psychological and emotional spaces where we banish the aspects of ourselves and our experiences that we find too uncomfortable, too painful, or too inconvenient to acknowledge directly. In the context of Gumball's universe, the void becomes a physical manifestation of the very human tendency to edit our own narratives, to smooth over the rough edges of our personal histories, and to pretend that the people and experiences we have chosen to forget somehow cease to matter simply because we no longer think about them on a daily basis. Rob's journey from background character to the embodiment of narrative necessity represents one of the most compelling character arcs in modern animation, a transformation that speaks to the fundamental question of what happens to those who exist on the periphery of other people's stories, who serve as extras in the grand drama of someone else's life, who provide context and color, but are never granted the dignity of being seen as protagonists in their own right. His evolution from forgotten wallpaper to active antagonist reflects a kind of existential awakening that is both terrifying and strangely liberating, as he discovers that being overlooked and dismissed can ultimately become a source of tremendous power and agency. The brilliance of Rob's character lies in the way the show refuses to portray his transformation as purely villainous or entirely sympathetic. Instead, he emerges as a complex figure whose motivations are simultaneously understandable and troubling, whose methods are questionable, even as his fundamental grievances against the world that created and then discarded him feel entirely justified. Rob represents the return of the repressed, the inevitable resurgence of everything we have tried to push out of our conscious awareness, and his presence in the narrative serves as a constant reminder that nothing is ever truly forgotten, that every character and every story element continues to exist somewhere, waiting for the right moment to reassert its importance and demand recognition. The void itself exists as a kind of anti-space, a realm defined not by what it contains but by what it lacks, a dimension characterized by absence rather than presence, emptiness rather than fullness. Yet paradoxically, this space of nothingness becomes filled with tremendous significance, serving as a repository for all the lost potential, abandoned storylines, and discarded character development that accumulates in the margins of any long-running narrative. The void is simultaneously empty and overcrowded, barren and fertile with possibility, a place where the forgotten elements of the show's universe gather to contemplate their own existence and perhaps plan their eventual return to the main narrative. The characters who inhabit the void exist in a state of suspended animation that mirrors the psychological condition of repressed memories and forgotten traumas. They maintain their essential identities while being stripped of their narrative purpose, their ability to affect the world around them, and their connections to the ongoing story that gave their existence meaning in the first place. This creates a peculiar kind of suffering that is neither dramatic nor acute, but rather characterized by a persistent sense of irrelevance, a gnawing awareness that they once mattered to someone, but have since been deemed unnecessary and expendable. Molly Collins serves as perhaps the most poignant example of what the void represents and what it costs its inhabitants. Her story illustrates the tragic consequences of being written out of existence, not through any fault of her own, but simply because her presence was no longer convenient for the narrative structure that the show's creators wished to maintain. Molly's fate demonstrates that in the world of storytelling, as in life, invisibility can be a form of death, that being forgotten can be more devastating than being actively disliked, and that the cruelest fate that can befall any character is not to be destroyed, but to be rendered irrelevant. The Universal Remote episodes represent the logical extension of the void concept, exploring what happens when the power to edit reality itself falls into the hands of those who have been marginalized and forgotten. Rob's possession of the remote transforms him from passive victim of narrative neglect into active agent of narrative destruction, giving him the ability to manipulate the very fabric of the show's reality in ways that blur the line between character and creator, between subject and object, between the told and the teller. The remote becomes both weapon and tool, instrument of revenge and means of artistic expression, as Rob uses his newfound power to reshape the world according to his own vision of what stories should be and how they should end. Yet even as Rob wields this tremendous power, the show treats his actions with a complexity that prevents viewers from seeing him as either pure hero or simple villain. His use of the remote reveals not just his desire for revenge against those who forgot him, but also his deep understanding of narrative structure, his appreciation for the craft of storytelling, and his genuine belief that stories should have meaningful conclusions rather than meandering indefinitely in comfortable but ultimately pointless cycles. Rob's manipulations of reality serve as a form of criticism directed not just at the characters who have ignored him, but at the very nature of episodic television, which tends to prioritize the maintenance of status quo over genuine character development and meaningful change. The philosophical implications of the void concept extend far beyond the boundaries of the show itself, touching on fundamental questions about memory, identity, and the nature of existence that resonate with viewers on levels they may not consciously recognize. The idea that forgotten characters continue to exist somewhere, nursing their grievances and planning their return, speaks to our deep-seated anxiety about the people and experiences we have chosen to leave behind in our own lives. We all carry our own versions of the void, psychological spaces where we have banished the aspects of our past that we find too painful or inconvenient to acknowledge, yet which continue to influence our behavior and shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The show's treatment of the void also serves as a meditation on the nature of attention and relevance in contemporary culture, where the line between existence and non-existence is often determined by visibility, by the ability to capture and hold the wandering focus of audiences, whose attention spans grow shorter, even as the number of competing narratives multiplies exponentially. In this context, Rob's transformation from background character to active antagonist can be read as a commentary on the desperate measures that individuals and ideas must sometimes take to avoid being consigned to cultural irrelevance, to resist being forgotten in a world that seems to have an infinite capacity for generating new content, while simultaneously discarding anything that fails to maintain its immediate relevance. The characters who populate the void exist in a state that is both liminal and eternal, trapped between being and non-being, presence and absence, significance and irrelevance. They serve as reminders that every story contains within itself the seeds of countless other stories that will never be told, that every character who appears on screen is surrounded by dozens of others who remain forever in the background, and that the act of focusing our attention on one narrative thread necessarily involves ignoring dozens of others that might be equally worthy of exploration and development. This creates a kind of ethical dimension to storytelling that the show explores with unusual sophistication, raising questions about the responsibilities that creators bear toward all of their characters, not just the ones who serve as protagonists or who generate the most dramatic conflict. The Void suggests that every character, no matter how minor or seemingly insignificant, possesses an inner life and a perspective that could potentially serve as the center of its own narrative, and that the decision to focus on some characters while ignoring others is never purely aesthetic, but always carries moral implications. The visual design of the Void itself reinforces these thematic concerns through its stark, minimalist aesthetic that contrasts sharply with the colorful chaos that characterizes the rest of Gumball's universe. The empty whiteness of the space serves as both absence and presence, void and fullness, creating a visual paradox that mirrors the psychological complexity of the concepts being explored. The characters who inhabit this space appear both fully realized and somehow diminished, maintaining their essential visual characteristics while being drained of the vitality and purpose that gave them meaning in their original contexts. Rob's relationship with the Void evolves throughout his appearances, shifting from victim to resident to eventual escapee, yet he never fully leaves behind the marks that his time in that space has left upon his character. His experience of being forgotten and then remembering himself creates a kind of double consciousness that allows him to exist simultaneously within the narrative and outside it, participating in the story, while also observing and critiquing it from the perspective of someone who has seen behind the curtain of creation and understands the arbitrary nature of the decisions that determine which characters matter and which can be safely ignored. The show uses Rob's unique perspective to explore questions about agency and determination that extend far beyond the realm of cartoon physics and into genuine philosophical territory. If characters can be forgotten and then remember themselves, if they can be written out of existence and then write themselves back in, what does this say about the nature of identity and self-determination? To what extent are we all the authors of our own existence? And to what extent are we simply characters in stories being told by forces beyond our control or understanding? These questions become particularly poignant when we consider the way the Void functions as a metaphor for social invisibility and marginalization in the real world. The characters who end up in the Void are not necessarily those who are inherently less interesting or valuable than the ones who remain in the main narrative. Rather, they are the ones who have been deemed expendable by the particular vision of the story that the creators have chosen to pursue. This reflects the way that real-world narratives about success, importance, and relevance often obscure or ignore entire categories of people who fail to fit into the dominant frameworks that society uses to determine who matters and who can be safely overlooked. The Void episodes also serve as a commentary on the nature of memory itself, exploring the difference between individual and collective memory, between personal recollection and cultural preservation. The characters in The Void remember themselves even when everyone else has forgotten them, suggesting that identity and significance are not entirely dependent on external recognition or validation. Yet at the same time, their isolation and powerlessness demonstrate the very real consequences of being cut off from the networks of relationship and recognition that give meaning and purpose to existence. Rob's emergence from the void and his subsequent actions can be understood as an attempt to bridge the gap between individual memory and collective recognition, to force the world to acknowledge and grapple with the elements it has chosen to forget. His role as antagonist serves not just a dramatic function, but an ethical one, challenging both the other characters and the viewers to confront their own complicity in the processes of forgetting and marginalization that create spaces like the void in the first place. The Universal Remote episodes take these themes to their logical conclusion, granting Rob the power to edit reality itself and thereby reversing the usual relationship between character and creator, subject and author. With the remote in hand, Rob becomes both critic and artist, destroyer and rebuilder, using his newfound abilities not just to seek revenge, but to explore alternative versions of the stories that have been told, to experiment with different narrative possibilities, and to demonstrate that every story contains within itself countless other stories that could have been told but were not. Yet even as Rob wields this tremendous creative power, the show continues to treat him with the complexity that has characterized his development throughout his appearances. His manipulations of reality reveal not just his anger and resentment, but also his deep love for the craft of storytelling itself, his appreciation for the power that narratives have to shape our understanding of ourselves and our world, and his genuine desire to create stories that are more honest, more complete, and more just than the ones that have been told before. The void concept ultimately serves as a reminder that every story is also a forgetting, that every act of narrative focus necessarily involves ignoring countless other possibilities, and that the characters and storylines we choose to follow are always surrounded by a vast ocean of alternatives that remain forever unexplored. Yet rather than treating this as a source of guilt or anxiety, the show suggests that acknowledging the existence of the void and the characters who inhabit it can actually enrich our appreciation of the stories we do tell, making us more conscious of the choices we make and more grateful for the narratives we have the privilege to explore. As we drift deeper into this contemplation of forgotten characters and lost possibilities, let yourself imagine not just the stories that have been told, but the vast universe of stories that could yet be told, the infinite potential that exists in every moment of narrative choice, and the beautiful complexity that emerges when we acknowledge that every character, no matter how minor, carries within themselves the seed of an entire universe of possibility and meaning. In the grand mythology of animated storytelling, few character transformations carry the profound emotional weight and philosophical significance of Darwin Watterson's extraordinary journey from simple pet fish to beloved family member, a metamorphosis that transcends the boundaries of biological possibility to explore the deepest truths about love, loyalty, belonging, and the miraculous ways in which consciousness can emerge from the most unlikely circumstances. Darwin's evolution represents far more than a clever narrative device or an opportunity for surreal comedy. It serves as a meditation on the nature of identity itself, on the difference between what we are born as and what we choose to become, and on the transformative power of unconditional love to reshape not just our understanding of ourselves, but the very fabric of reality that surrounds us. The story of Darwin's transformation begins in the simple act of a child's love for his pet, yet it blossoms into something that challenges our most fundamental assumptions about consciousness, family, and the mysterious processes through which life develops meaning and purpose beyond mere biological function. When Gumball's affection for his pet goldfish becomes so intense, so pure, and so unwavering that it literally calls Darwin into a new form of existence, we witness something that operates according to the laws of emotional rather than physical reality, where the strength of love becomes a creative force capable of transcending the limitations that logic and science would typically impose upon the natural world. Darwin's emergence from his fishbowl represents a kind of second birth, a conscious choice to leave behind the safety and simplicity of his aquatic existence in order to join the chaotic, complicated, and infinitely more rewarding world of the Watterson family. This transformation requires not just physical adaptation, but a complete reconstruction of his understanding of himself and his place in the universe, as he learns to navigate not only the mechanics of breathing air and walking on land, but the far more complex emotional and social dynamics that define life within a family structure. The biological impossibility of Darwin's evolution serves as a beautiful metaphor for the way that love itself operates according to principles that defy rational explanation, creating connections and transformations that seem miraculous when viewed from the outside, yet feel perfectly natural and inevitable to those who experience them from within. Darwin's ability to develop lungs and legs, to learn speech, and adopt human mannerisms represents the kind of adaptation that occurs in every loving relationship, where individuals stretch beyond their original limitations in order to meet each other in spaces of mutual understanding and shared experience. Yet Darwin's transformation is not complete or instantaneous. Rather, it unfolds gradually throughout the series as he continues to grow into his new identity while retaining essential aspects of his original nature that serve as both strengths and sources of vulnerability. His fish-like innocence and natural swimming ability remain part of who he is, yet they are now integrated into a more complex personality that encompasses loyalty, wisdom, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of family dynamics that often surpasses that of his human relatives. The genius of Darwin's character lies in the way he serves as both participant in and observer of the Watterson family's chaos, bringing to their adventures a perspective that is simultaneously naive and wise, innocent and experienced, simple and profoundly sophisticated. His loyalty to Gumball operates on levels that transcend ordinary friendship or even typical sibling bonds, representing a kind of chosen devotion that is all the more powerful because it is freely given rather than demanded or expected by blood relationship or social convention. Darwin's role as Gumball's conscience and moral anchor reveals the deeper significance of his character within the show's overall narrative structure. While Gumball tends to act on impulse and pursue his immediate desires without fully considering the consequences, Darwin serves as the voice of consideration, empathy, and long-term thinking that helps guide their shared adventures toward outcomes that are ultimately constructive rather than destructive. Yet this guidance is offered not through judgment or criticism, but through gentle suggestion, patient explanation, and the kind of unwavering support that gives his friend the courage to make better choices, even when those choices require admitting mistakes or accepting responsibility for unintended consequences. The relationship between Gumball and Darwin represents one of the most authentic portrayals of friendship in contemporary animation. capturing not just the fun and excitement of shared adventures, but the deeper bonds of trust, understanding, and mutual support that sustain relationships through both triumph and difficulty. Their friendship demonstrates that the strongest bonds are often those that form between individuals who complement rather than mirror each other, who bring different strengths and perspectives to their shared experiences, while maintaining an underlying harmony of values and priorities that allows them to weather any storm. Darwin's adaptation to life outside the fishbowl involves learning not just new physical skills, but an entirely new way of understanding himself and his relationships with others. He must develop a sense of personal agency and individual identity while simultaneously maintaining the deep connections that give his life meaning and purpose. This delicate balance between independence and interdependence reflects one of the most challenging aspects of growing up within any family system, where individuals must learn to be themselves while also being part of something larger than themselves. The show consistently portrays Darwin's loyalty as both his greatest strength and his most significant vulnerability, as his deep commitment to Gumball sometimes leads him into situations that challenge his own values or put him at odds with his better judgment. Yet even in these moments of conflict, Darwin's essential goodness shines through, as he finds ways to remain true to both his friendship and his principles, often serving as the bridge that helps resolve conflicts between what Gumball wants to do and what he should do. Darwin's emotional intelligence manifests not just in his relationships with family members, but in his interactions with the broader community of Elmore, where his natural empathy and genuine interest in others make him a beloved figure who can connect with characters across all species and personality types. His ability to see the good in others, even in those who might be considered antagonistic or difficult, reflects a kind of wisdom that comes not from experience or education, but from an open heart and a generous spirit that refuses to be hardened by disappointment or betrayal. The evolution of Darwin's character throughout the series demonstrates that growth and change need not involve abandoning one's essential nature, but rather expanding and deepening it, finding new ways to express core values and characteristics in response to changing circumstances and evolving relationships. His journey from pet to family member to individual shows that identity is not fixed at birth, but continues to develop throughout life as we encounter new challenges, form new relationships, and discover new aspects of ourselves that we never knew existed. Darwin's relationship with water serves as a beautiful metaphor for the way he maintains connections to his origins while embracing his transformed identity. He remains an exceptional swimmer whose aquatic abilities often prove crucial to resolving various crises, yet water is no longer his primary environment, but rather one of many elements he can navigate with skill and confidence. This suggests that true growth involves not rejecting our past, but integrating it into our present, finding ways to honor where we came from, while embracing where we are going. The show uses Darwin's unique perspective as someone who has experienced both animal and human consciousness to explore questions about the nature of awareness, empathy, and moral reasoning that might otherwise seem too abstract or philosophical for a children's program. His ability to understand and communicate with other animals, while also participating fully in human social dynamics, gives him a kind of bilingual consciousness that allows him to serve as translator and mediator between different forms of life and different ways of being in the world. Darwin's presence in the Watterson family also serves as a reminder that families are not defined solely by biological relationships, but by the bonds of love, commitment, and shared experience that develop over time between individuals who choose to care for each other despite their differences. His full acceptance as a family member, complete with surname and equal status among the siblings, demonstrates that belonging is ultimately about emotional rather than genetic connection, about the willingness to show up for each other day after day regardless of the challenges that arise. The loyalty that defines Darwin's character operates on multiple levels simultaneously, encompassing not just his devotion to Gumball as an individual, but his commitment to the entire family unit and his deep investment in maintaining the relationships and traditions that give their shared life meaning and stability. This loyalty is never blind or unthinking, but rather represents a conscious choice that he makes repeatedly, understanding that true faithfulness requires ongoing effort and intentional decision-making rather than passive acceptance or automatic response. Darwin's wisdom often manifests in moments of quiet observation rather than dramatic action, as he notices patterns and connections that others miss, understands the emotional undercurrents that drive behavior, and recognizes the long-term implications of short-term decisions. His insights emerge not from superior intelligence, but from genuine care and attention, from the kind of mindful presence that allows him to see situations clearly, without being clouded by personal agenda or ego-driven concerns. The show consistently portrays Darwin's journey as ongoing rather than completed, suggesting that evolution, both biological and emotional, is not a destination but a process, not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be embraced and navigated with curiosity, courage, and commitment. His continued growth throughout the series demonstrates that becoming who we are meant to be is not something that happens once, but something we must choose to pursue every day, in every interaction, through every challenge and opportunity that life presents to us. Darwin's relationship with responsibility reveals another dimension of his character development, as he learns to balance his natural desire to support and protect those he loves with the recognition that true friendship sometimes requires allowing others to face the consequences of their own choices. His evolution from enabler to true friend involves developing the wisdom to know when to step in and when to step back, when to offer assistance and when to encourage independence, when to provide comfort and when to challenge growth. The biological miracle of Darwin's transformation serves as a metaphor for the miraculous nature of all deep relationships, where individuals somehow manage to bridge the gaps between their different backgrounds, personalities, and perspectives to create bonds that transcend logical explanation, while feeling perfectly natural and inevitable to those who experience them. His journey from fish to family member represents the kind of leap of faith that all meaningful connections require, the willingness to venture beyond the familiar boundaries of our original identity in order to discover new possibilities for love, understanding, and shared adventure. As we contemplate Darwin's extraordinary journey from fishbowl to family, let yourself drift into appreciation for all the relationships in your own life that have called you beyond your original limitations, that have inspired you to grow in ways you never thought possible, and that have shown you that love truly is the most powerful evolutionary force in the universe, capable of transforming not just individuals but entire families, communities, and worlds through the simple yet profound act of choosing to care for each other across all the differences that might otherwise divide us. In the intricate tapestry of the amazing world of Gumball's character development, perhaps no figure embodies the beautiful complexity of maternal love quite like Nicole Watterson, whose fierce dedication to her family exists in constant tension with dreams deferred, potential unrealized, and the countless small sacrifices that accumulate over years of putting everyone else's needs before her own. Nicole represents far more than the archetypal cartoon mother. She serves as a profound exploration of the ways in which love can simultaneously liberate and constrain, strengthen and exhaust, fulfill and frustrate those who dedicate their lives to nurturing others, while struggling to maintain their own sense of identity and purpose. The depth of Nicole's character emerges most powerfully in the glimpses the show provides of her suppressed past. Those tantalizing hints of a woman who once possessed dreams and ambitions that extended far beyond the domestic sphere she now inhabits with such devoted intensity. Her martial arts prowess, revealed in moments of crisis when her family's safety demands the unleashing of abilities she typically keeps carefully contained, speaks to years of training and discipline that suggest a younger Nicole who invested tremendous time and energy in developing skills that now serve primarily defensive rather than aspirational purposes. Nicole's relationship with her own potential represents one of the most poignant aspects of her character as she navigates the complex emotional territory between gratitude for the life she has built and occasional glimpses of longing for the paths she chose not to pursue. The show treats this internal conflict with remarkable sensitivity, never suggesting that her dedication to family represents a failure or a mistake, while simultaneously acknowledging that the choice to prioritize others' needs often comes with genuine costs that cannot be entirely dismissed or rationalized away through appeals to duty or love. The economic pressures that shape Nicole's daily existence at the Rainbow Factory serve as both literal workplace comedy and metaphorical commentary on the ways in which modern family life often requires parents to engage in forms of labor that feel disconnected from their deeper values and interests. Her job processing rainbows, those symbols of joy, wonder, and natural beauty into industrial products, represents the kind of soul-crushing routine that many parents endure in order to provide stability and security for their children, transforming magic into commodity through the relentless demands of economic necessity. Yet even within this context of constrained choices and deferred dreams, Nicole demonstrates a remarkable ability to find meaning and purpose through her commitment to her family's well-being, transforming what might otherwise be experienced as limitation into a source of strength and identity. Her fierce protectiveness of Gumball, Darwin, and Aeneas emerges not from possessiveness or control, but from a deep understanding that in a chaotic and often dangerous world, the love and security she provides serve as essential foundations upon which her children can build their own lives and pursue their own dreams. Nicole's explosive anger, which manifests in moments of supernatural fury that can literally reshape the physical environment around her, serves as both comedic device and psychological insight into the enormous pressure she carries as the family's primary source of stability and discipline. These eruptions of volcanic rage represent not character flaws, but rather the inevitable release of accumulated stress and frustration that comes from trying to maintain order and safety in a household where chaos is not just common but seems to be the natural state of being. The show's treatment of Nicole's anger demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of the difference between destructive and protective fury, between violence that emerges from selfishness or cruelty, and the kind of fierce response that arises when someone we love is threatened, or when our carefully maintained boundaries are violated beyond our capacity to endure. Her rage, while terrifying in its intensity, is always directed toward protecting rather than harming, toward defending the vulnerable rather than dominating the weak, toward restoring rather than destroying the delicate balance that keeps her family functioning. Nicole's relationship with Richard reveals another dimension of her complexity as she navigates the challenges of loving someone whose approach to responsibility and consequences differs so dramatically from her own that their partnership sometimes seems impossible, yet somehow continues to work despite all logical expectations to the contrary. Her patience with Richard's childlike behavior and impractical attitudes demonstrates not weakness or codependency, but rather a deep understanding that love sometimes requires accepting others as they are rather than trying to reshape them into who we think they should become. The dynamic between Nicole and Richard serves as a fascinating study in complementary opposites, where her intensity and his relaxation, her planning and his spontaneity, her worry and his optimism create a kind of balance that somehow manages to provide their children with both security and freedom, structure and creativity, high expectations and unconditional acceptance. Their partnership demonstrates that successful relationships need not be based on similarity, but can thrive through the creative tension that emerges when different personalities learn to support rather than compete with each other. Nicole's role as disciplinarian within the family structure requires her to walk the difficult line between setting necessary boundaries and maintaining the loving relationships that make those boundaries meaningful and effective. Her ability to be simultaneously fierce and nurturing, demanding and supportive, reflects a deep understanding that true discipline emerges not from the exercise of power, but from the consistent demonstration of care, that children learn to respect limits not because they fear punishment, but because they trust that those limits exist to protect rather than restrict them. The show consistently portrays Nicole's intelligence and competence in ways that highlight how much of her considerable abilities are channeled into the complex work of family management, a form of labor that is often undervalued or overlooked, despite requiring skills in psychology, economics, logistics, diplomacy, education, healthcare, and crisis management that would be impressive in any professional context. Her ability to keep the Watterson household functioning despite its members' tendency toward chaos and disaster represents a form of expertise that deserves recognition and respect, rather than being taken for granted or dismissed as merely natural maternal instinct. Nicole's relationship with her own mother and her family of origin provides additional insight into the ways in which patterns of love, expectation, and sacrifice tend to repeat across generations, as she simultaneously tries to honor the lessons she learned from her own upbringing while adapting them to the very different circumstances and personalities of her own children. The tension between tradition and innovation in parenting styles reflects broader questions about how we preserve what was valuable from our past, while remaining open to new possibilities and approaches that might better serve our current situation. The moments when Nicole allows herself to be vulnerable, to acknowledge her own needs and limitations rather than maintaining the facade of infinite strength and competence that her family often requires her to project, reveal the profound humanity that lies beneath her superhuman dedication to their welfare. These glimpses of uncertainty, exhaustion, or longing serve not to diminish her character, but to make her more relatable and real, demonstrating that even the most devoted parents are complex individuals with their own dreams, fears, and struggles that exist alongside but separate from their parental identity. Nicole's physical transformation, when her protective instincts are fully activated, serves as a literal manifestation of the metaphorical truth that maternal love can indeed move mountains, break down barriers, and accomplish seemingly impossible feats when the safety and well-being of children are at stake. Her ability to bend reality through sheer force of will and determination demonstrates that the cartoon world's flexible relationship with physics serves not just comedic purposes, but also symbolic ones, allowing abstract emotional truths to be expressed through concrete visual metaphors. The evolution of Nicole's character throughout the series reveals a gradual process of learning to balance her intense commitment to her family's welfare with a growing recognition of her own needs and rights as an Umber individual. This development suggests that the healthiest forms of maternal love are those that model self-respect and personal fulfillment, rather than complete self-sacrifice. Teaching children through example that caring for others need not require abandoning care for oneself. Nicole's professional competence at the Rainbow Factory, despite her obvious lack of enthusiasm for the work itself, demonstrates her ability to excel in whatever environment circumstances require, suggesting reserves of talent and capability that extend far beyond the domestic sphere where most of her energy is currently focused. Her success in transforming the chaotic, colorful beauty of natural rainbows into the standardized products that modern commerce demands serves as a metaphor for her own ability to channel wild, creative energies into practical, functional outcomes that serve the needs of others. The show's portrayal of Nicole's relationship with household management reveals the incredible complexity and skill involved in maintaining a functioning home environment, when that environment includes multiple strong personalities with different needs, schedules, preferences, and approaches to life. Her ability to coordinate meals, transportation, education, healthcare, social activities, and countless other logistical challenges, while also providing emotional support and guidance, demonstrates organizational abilities that would be valued highly in any corporate or institutional setting. Nicole's moments of joy and spontaneity, when she temporarily sets aside her responsibilities and allows herself to participate in the family's adventures rather than simply managing them, reveal a playful and adventurous spirit that complements rather than contradicts her more serious and protective aspects. These glimpses of her lighter side suggest that her intensity emerges not from an inability to have fun, but from a deep understanding of how much work is required to maintain the stable foundation that makes fun and spontaneity possible for the rest of the family. The relationship between Nicole's public persona and her private reality illustrates the complex performance that many parents, particularly mothers, must maintain as they navigate between their role as family anchor and their identity as individuals with their own needs, desires, and struggles. Her ability to project competence and control even when she feels overwhelmed or uncertain demonstrates not dishonesty, but rather the kind of protective strength that allows children to feel secure, even when the adult world contains uncertainties and challenges that would be frightening if fully revealed. Nicole's gradual recognition that her children are growing up and developing their own capabilities for handling challenges represents one of the most difficult transitions that any devoted parent must navigate, as the protective behaviors that once served essential functions gradually become obstacles to the independence and self-reliance that healthy development requires. Her learning to step back when appropriate while remaining available when needed demonstrates the sophisticated, emotional intelligence required to love someone enough to let them learn from their own mistakes and develop their own strengths. The show's treatment of Nicole's character ultimately suggests that the most profound forms of love are those that create space for growth rather than demanding stasis, that support rather than control, that trust rather than micromanage, and that recognize that the ultimate goal of parenting is not to maintain eternal closeness, but to nurture the development of independent, capable, loving individuals who can build their own meaningful lives and relationships while maintaining the foundational bonds that gave them the security and confidence to venture forth into the world. As we drift deeper into contemplation of Nicole's beautiful complexity, let yourself appreciate all the parents and caregivers in your own life who have channeled their own dreams and energies into creating space for others to flourish, who have transformed their strength into sanctuary and their love into the kind of foundation upon which entire lives can be built with confidence and joy. In the wonderfully chaotic universe of the amazing world of Gumball, Perhaps no character embodies the profound paradox of wisdom disguised as foolishness quite like Richard Watterson, whose childlike approach to existence serves as both a source of endless comedy and a surprisingly deep wellspring of insight into the nature of happiness, authenticity, and the often overlooked value of maintaining wonder in a world that seems determined to crush it beneath the weight of adult responsibility and conventional expectations. Richard represents far more than mere comic relief or an opportunity for absurdist humor. He functions as a philosophical statement about the different forms that intelligence can take and the various ways in which individuals can contribute meaningfully to their families and communities, even when their contributions don't conform to traditional measures of success or competence. The genius of Richard's character lies in the way the show consistently demonstrates that his apparent lack of conventional wisdom often leads to outcomes that are more positive and constructive than the carefully planned approaches favored by his more pragmatic family members. His naive optimism and refusal to acknowledge the impossibility of various situations frequently create opportunities and solutions that would never have emerged from purely rational analysis, suggesting that there are forms of problem-solving that operate according to emotional and intuitive rather than logical principles. Richard's relationship with responsibility represents one of the most fascinating aspects of his character development, as he navigates through life with an approach to consequences and obligations that seems completely divorced from adult reality, yet somehow manages to work within the specific context of his family's needs and dynamics. His unemployment, which should by all logical measures create financial hardship and instability, instead becomes part of the magical realism that defines the Watterson household, where economic impossibility is transformed into domestic possibility through the alchemy of love and mutual support. The show treats Richard's joblessness not as a character flaw or a source of shame, but as a lifestyle choice that allows him to be fully present for his family in ways that would be impossible if he were consumed by the demands of traditional employment. His availability for impromptu adventures, his capacity to serve as emotional support during crises, and his ability to approach each day with fresh enthusiasm all stem directly from his freedom from the kind of structured, goal-oriented existence that characterizes most adult lives, but might not serve the specific needs of his particular family constellation. Richard's childlike wisdom manifests most clearly in moments when his innocent observations cut through layers of complexity and pretense to reveal simple truths that more sophisticated thinkers have overlooked or dismissed. His ability to ask basic questions that expose the fundamental assumptions underlying various situations demonstrates a kind of clarity that comes from approaching problems without the burden of preconceived notions about what should or shouldn't be possible, what is or isn't appropriate, what can or cannot be accomplished through determination and goodwill. The relationship between Richard and his children reveals the profound impact that his unconventional approach to parenting has on their development, as he models for them a way of being in the world that prioritizes joy, curiosity, and authentic self-expression over conformity to external expectations or the pursuit of conventional markers of success. His interactions with Gumball, Darwin, and Anais demonstrate that effective parenting need not always involve teaching practical skills or imparting life lessons, but can sometimes simply mean being genuinely present and engaged, offering unconditional acceptance and enthusiasm that gives children the confidence to explore their own potential without fear of judgment or disapproval. Richard's emotional intelligence, though expressed in unconventional ways, often proves more effective than traditional approaches to interpersonal conflict and family dynamics. His instinctive understanding of when someone needs comfort rather than advice, when silence is more valuable than words, and when humor can diffuse tension better than serious discussion, reflects a sophisticated grasp of human psychology that operates through empathy and intuition rather than analysis and strategy. The show consistently portrays Richard's impact on his family as fundamentally positive despite the chaos and confusion that often accompany his well-intentioned interventions. His presence serves as a catalyst for adventures and experiences that might never occur in a more conventionally organized household, creating memories and bonds that emerge specifically from the unpredictability and spontaneity that he brings to their shared life. His ability to transform ordinary situations into extraordinary experiences through his unique perspective and enthusiastic engagement demonstrates that magic often lies not in what happens, but in how we choose to respond to what happens. Richard's relationship with Nicole reveals the complex dynamics that can emerge when two very different approaches to life learn to complement rather than compete with each other. His relaxed attitude toward planning and consequences provides a necessary counterbalance to her intensity and hypervigilance, while her competence and organizational skills create the stable foundation that allows his spontaneity and creativity to flourish without resulting in genuine harm or chaos. Their partnership demonstrates that successful relationships can thrive on difference rather than similarity, with each partner's strengths compensating for the other's limitations in ways that benefit the entire family system. The economic impossibility of Richard's unemployment serves as a gentle satire of the way contemporary society often reduces human worth to productivity and financial contribution, suggesting that there are forms of value and contribution that cannot be measured in monetary terms, but which are nonetheless essential to the functioning of healthy families and communities. His ability to provide emotional support, creative inspiration, and unconditional love represents a form of wealth that cannot be quantified, but which enriches his family's life in ways that no amount of traditional success could match. Richard's moments of unexpected competence, when he demonstrates skills or knowledge that seem completely at odds with his usual presentation, serve as reminders that every individual contains multitudes, that people are far more complex and capable than they might initially appear, and that the roles we play in our families and communities represent only a fraction of our total potential and experience. These glimpses of hidden depth suggest that his choice to embrace a childlike approach to existence is indeed a choice rather than a limitation, a conscious decision to prioritize certain values and experiences over others. The show's treatment of Richard's body image and physical appearance reflects a refreshing departure from conventional standards of masculine attractiveness and competence, presenting him as someone who is completely comfortable with his unconventional physique and unconcerned with others' opinions about his appearance or lifestyle choices. His self-acceptance and lack of self-consciousness serve as powerful models for family members and viewers alike, demonstrating that confidence and contentment come not from conforming to external standards, but from embracing one's authentic self without apology or explanation. Richard's relationship with technology and modern conveniences reveals his ability to find joy and wonder in simple pleasures that others might take for granted or dismiss as insignificant. His enthusiasm for television, video games, and other forms of entertainment reflects not escapism or laziness, but rather a genuine appreciation for the creativity and imagination that go into creating experiences designed to bring happiness and relaxation to ordinary people living ordinary lives. The philosophical implications of Richard's character extend far beyond the boundaries of family comedy, touching on fundamental questions about the nature of intelligence, the definition of success, and the various ways in which individuals can contribute meaningfully to the world around them. His example suggests that society's emphasis on productivity, achievement, and conventional markers of accomplishment may actually obscure rather than reveal the true sources of human happiness and fulfillment. Richard's interactions with other adults in the community often reveal the extent to which his childlike approach to social situations can be both refreshing and challenging for people who have become accustomed to more guarded and strategic forms of interpersonal engagement. His genuine interest in others, his lack of ulterior motives, and his willingness to be vulnerable and authentic in his relationships create opportunities for connection that might not emerge in more conventional social contexts. The evolution of Richard's character throughout the series demonstrates that growth and development need not involve abandoning one's essential nature, but can instead involve finding new and more effective ways to express core values and characteristics. His journey shows that maturity can include maintaining wonder and spontaneity rather than requiring their sacrifice, that wisdom can coexist with playfulness, and that responsibility can be expressed through presence and engagement rather than only through traditional forms of achievement and productivity. Richard's role as emotional catalyst within the family dynamic reveals his sophisticated understanding of when situations need energy and enthusiasm, when problems require creative rather than logical solutions, and when the best response to difficulty is not to solve it, but to transform it through a fundamental shift in perspective and attitude. His ability to redirect negative energy into positive experiences demonstrates a form of emotional alchemy that serves his family's needs in ways that more conventional approaches might not. The show's portrayal of Richard's relationship with his own past and family history suggests that his current lifestyle represents not a failure to grow up, but rather a conscious choice to preserve and prioritize aspects of human being, experience that are often lost in the transition to traditional adulthood. His commitment to maintaining wonder, curiosity, and emotional openness serves as a bridge between the world of childhood imagination and the demands of adult responsibility, creating space for experiences that might otherwise be impossible within a more conventionally structured family environment. Richard's unconventional wisdom ultimately serves as a reminder that there are many different ways to contribute meaningfully to the lives of others, that intelligence and value come in forms that cannot always be measured or recognized by traditional standards, and that sometimes the most profound insights emerge not from careful analysis, but from the willingness to approach familiar situations with fresh eyes and an open heart, allowing wonder and possibility to flourish, even in the midst of ordinary, everyday existence. As we drift deeper into appreciation of Richard's unique contribution to his family's happiness and well-being, let yourself consider the ways in which childlike wonder and enthusiasm might enrich your own relationships and experiences, creating space for joy and spontaneity that can transform even the most mundane moments into opportunities for connection, growth, and the kind of authentic happiness that emerges when we allow ourselves to be fully present and engaged with the beautiful complexity of life itself. In the intricate constellation of characters that populate the amazing world of Gumball, few figures carry the profound weight of intellectual isolation and premature emotional maturity, quite like Anais Watterson, whose extraordinary intelligence serves simultaneously as her greatest gift and her most challenging burden, creating a complex dynamic within the family structure where she often finds herself serving as the voice of reason, wisdom, and practical problem-solving despite being chronologically the youngest member of the household. Anais represents far more than simply a clever child character, designed to provide witty commentary or logical solutions to her family's chaotic predicaments. She embodies a sophisticated exploration of what it means to possess adult-level understanding while remaining emotionally and developmentally situated within the world of childhood, navigating the delicate balance between her intellectual capabilities and her fundamental need for the security, play, and unconditional love that define healthy child development. The burden of superior intelligence that Anais carries manifests most clearly in her role as the family's unofficial strategist and crisis manager, a position that requires her to think several steps ahead of situations, while her family members remain focused on immediate concerns or momentary impulses. Her ability to see patterns, predict consequences, and develop comprehensive solutions to complex problems places her in the paradoxical situation of often understanding more about the long-term implications of various choices than the adults who are supposedly responsible for making those choices, creating a kind of inverted authority structure that can be both empowering and profoundly lonely. The isolation that accompanies Anaïs's intellectual gifts becomes apparent in her interactions with peers her own age, where her advanced vocabulary, sophisticated reasoning abilities, and mature perspective on various issues often create barriers to the kind of simple, playful connections that typically define childhood friendships. Her mind operates on frequencies that few of her contemporaries can access or appreciate, leading to social situations where she must constantly adjust her communication style and intellectual engagement to avoid alienating others or making them feel inadequate or uncomfortable in her presence. Yet within the context of her family, Anaïs's intelligence serves not as a source of division but as a unifying force that helps bind the Watterson clan together through her deep understanding of each member's unique needs, motivations, and emotional patterns. Her protective instincts toward her chaotic family emerge not from condescension or superiority, but from genuine love and appreciation for their individual strengths, even when those strengths come packaged with significant limitations or blind spots that require careful management and gentle guidance. Anaïs's relationship with responsibility reveals the complex emotional territory that highly intelligent children must navigate as they recognize problems and potential solutions that the adults around them may not see or may choose to ignore. Her frequent frustration with her family's decision-making processes reflects not impatience with their limitations, but rather the kind of anxiety that emerges when someone can clearly see potential negative outcomes, yet lacks the authority or influence necessary to prevent them from occurring. The show consistently portrays Anaïs's intellectual capabilities as both blessing and curse, providing her with tools for understanding and navigating complex situations while simultaneously placing upon her shoulders burdens that no child should be expected to carry. Her ability to analyze motivations, predict behavior patterns, and develop strategic responses to various challenges transforms her from passive family member into active agent of family stability and harmony. Yet this role often requires her to set aside her own childhood needs in service of others' well-being. Anaïs's emotional intelligence, which operates alongside and often surpasses her cognitive abilities, manifests in her sophisticated understanding of family dynamics and her intuitive grasp of when different approaches are needed for different family members. Her ability to communicate with Gumball in the language of adventure and excitement, with Darwin through appeals to loyalty and friendship, with Richard through gentle guidance and patient explanation, and with Nicole through logical analysis and practical solutions, demonstrates a level of social awareness that would be impressive in someone twice her age. The weight of being the most mature member of the family creates unique challenges for Anaïs as she struggles to maintain her own emotional equilibrium while serving as anchor and compass for relatives who often lack her clarity of vision or depth of understanding. Her moments of vulnerability and frustration, when the burden of always being the responsible one becomes too heavy to bear with grace and patience, reveal the very real costs that come with premature emotional maturity and the sacrifice of certain aspects of normal childhood development. Anais' relationship with her stuffed animal Daisy serves as a beautiful reminder that beneath her sophisticated exterior lies a child who still needs comfort, security, and the kind of unconditional acceptance that can only be found in relationships free from expectations of performance or competence. Her attachment to this simple toy represents her connection to the part of herself that remains purely childlike, untouched by the demands of intellectual achievement or family responsibility, existing in the realm of pure emotional need and innocent affection. The show's treatment of Anais' academic abilities reveals the complex relationship between intelligence and education, as her natural gifts often place her at odds with institutional structures designed for children operating at more typical developmental levels. Her boredom with age-appropriate curriculum and her need for intellectual stimulation that matches her capabilities create ongoing tension between her educational needs and the practical limitations of traditional schooling systems that are not equipped to serve exceptionally gifted students. Anais' protective instincts toward her family operate on multiple levels simultaneously, encompassing not only physical safety but emotional well-being, social reputation, and long-term stability and growth. Her interventions in family crises often involve complex calculations that take into account not just immediate problems but potential ripple effects, considering how various solutions might impact different family members and what approaches are most likely to strengthen rather than strain their relationships with each other. The evolution of Anais' character throughout the series demonstrates her gradual learning to balance her intellectual gifts with age-appropriate emotional development, finding ways to contribute her unique capabilities to family life while still preserving space for play, wonder, and the kind of carefree experiences that are essential to healthy childhood development. Her journey illustrates that true maturity involves not the abandonment of childlike qualities, but their integration with growing wisdom and responsibility. Anais' relationship with authority figures outside the family reveals the challenges that highly intelligent children face when their understanding and capabilities exceed what adults expect or are prepared to handle. Her interactions with teachers, other parents, and community leaders often require her to navigate the delicate balance between demonstrating her competence and avoiding the kind of adult discomfort that can arise when children challenge conventional assumptions about age-appropriate behavior and understanding. The show consistently portrays Anais' love for her family as unconditional and unwavering, despite her frequent frustration with their choices and her clear awareness of their various limitations and flaws. Her ability to see past surface-level chaos to the underlying bonds of affection and loyalty that hold the Watterson clan together demonstrates a depth of emotional wisdom that complements her intellectual abilities, creating a character who embodies both analytical precision and profound compassion. Anais' moments of genuine childhood joy and excitement, when she temporarily sets aside her role as family strategist to simply enjoy experiences for their immediate pleasure and wonder, reveal the importance of preserving space for spontaneity and play, even within a life structured around responsibility and problem-solving. These glimpses of pure childhood delight serve as reminders that intelligence need not preclude innocence, that wisdom can coexist with wonder, and that the most gifted individuals often retain the capacity for simple pleasures and uncomplicated happiness. The isolation that sometimes accompanies Anais' intellectual gifts creates opportunities for deep connections with others who share similar capabilities or who appreciate her unique perspective without feeling threatened or diminished by it. Her relationships with characters who recognize and value her intelligence demonstrate that true friendship and understanding can bridge gaps in age, experience, and conventional social expectations when based on mutual respect and genuine appreciation for each other's gifts and contributions. Aeneas's role as bridge between logic and emotion within the family dynamic reveals her sophisticated understanding that effective problem-solving often requires both analytical thinking and emotional intelligence, that the best solutions to complex family issues typically involve addressing not just practical concerns, but underlying feelings, needs, and relationship patterns that may not be immediately obvious to less observant family members. The show's portrayal of Aeneas's relationship with her own childhood reflects the ongoing tension between her intellectual maturity and her developmental needs, as she navigates the challenge of growing up at her own pace, while meeting the expectations that her demonstrated capabilities create in others. Her journey illustrates that gifted children face unique pressures and opportunities that require careful balance and thoughtful support from family members who understand that exceptional ability comes with both privileges and responsibilities. As we drift deeper into appreciation of Aeneas's remarkable complexity and the unique challenges she faces as the intellectual anchor of her chaotic family, let yourself consider the ways in which different forms of intelligence contribute to the harmony and stability of the relationships we cherish most. Recognizing that wisdom often emerges not from age or experience alone, but from the combination of natural gifts, emotional maturity, and the kind of deep love that motivates us to use our abilities in service of others' well-being and happiness. Within the beautifully chaotic ecosystem that defines the amazing world of Gumball, no element proves more essential to the show's emotional resonance and philosophical depth than the intricate web of relationships that bind the Watterson family together, creating a constellation of connections so complex and mutually supportive that each member's individual identity becomes inseparable from their role within the larger family organism. The Watterson family dynamic represents far more than simply the sum of its individual parts. It serves as a living testament to the transformative power of unconditional love expressed through chaos, conflict, and the kind of beautiful messiness that emerges when imperfect people commit themselves wholeheartedly to caring for each other despite their differences, limitations, and the countless ways in which their individual needs and desires sometimes seem incompatible with family harmony. The genius of the Watterson family structure lies in the way each member's apparent weaknesses become sources of strength when filtered through the alchemy of family love and mutual support, creating a system where Gumball's impulsiveness is balanced by Darwin's loyalty, where Nicole's intensity is softened by Richard's relaxation, where Aeneas's intellectual isolation is counteracted by everyone else's emotional warmth, and where the family's collective tendency toward chaos somehow produces outcomes that are ultimately more positive and fulfilling than any carefully planned alternative might have achieved through conventional wisdom and traditional approaches to problem solving. The show's portrayal of unconventional family structures challenges many assumptions about what healthy family dynamics should look like, demonstrating that love can flourish in configurations that defy traditional expectations about roles, responsibilities, and the distribution of power and authority within the household. The Watterson family operates according to principles that prioritize emotional connection over social convention, authentic expression over polite restraint, and shared adventure over predictable routine, creating an environment where each member feels free to be genuinely themselves, while also remaining accountable to the collective well-being of the group. The way love expresses itself through apparent conflict within the Watterson household reveals the sophisticated understanding that genuine affection sometimes manifests through challenge, confrontation, and the kind of honest disagreement that emerges when people care enough about each other to risk temporary discomfort in pursuit of deeper understanding and stronger connection. The family's arguments and disputes serve not as evidence of dysfunction, but as proof of their commitment to working through problems together rather than avoiding them or pretending they don't exist, demonstrating that healthy relationships require not the absence of conflict, but rather the presence of tools and commitment necessary to navigate conflict constructively. Each family member serves multiple roles simultaneously, creating a complex network of interdependencies that ensures no single person bears the entire weight of family functioning, while also preventing any individual from being reduced to a single function or characteristic. Gumball operates as both catalyst for adventure and source of creative energy. Darwin functions as emotional anchor and voice of conscience. Nicole serves as protective force and organizational center. Richard provides joy and spontaneity alongside emotional support, and Aeneas contributes intellectual clarity and strategic thinking, while requiring the same nurturing and protection that all children need, regardless of their exceptional capabilities. The Watterson house itself emerges as a character in its own right, serving not merely as a backdrop for family activities, but as a physical manifestation of the family's collective personality and values. The house's ability to withstand and recover from the countless disasters that befall it mirrors the family's own resilience and capacity for renewal, while its cozy, lived-in atmosphere reflects the warmth and acceptance that define the emotional climate within which these relationships flourish and grow stronger through shared experience and mutual support. The family's traditions and rituals, both formal and informal, serve as anchoring points that provide stability and continuity amidst the constant change and unpredictability that characterize their daily lives. These shared practices, from regular family meals to spontaneous adventures to the countless small routines that mark the passage of time and seasons, create a sense of belonging and identity that transcends individual achievements or failures, reminding each family member that they are part of something larger and more enduring than their momentary circumstances or temporary challenges. The show consistently demonstrates that the Watterson family's strength lies not in their ability to avoid problems, but in their capacity to face difficulties together, pooling their diverse resources and perspectives to find solutions that none of them could have developed in isolation. Their collaborative approach to crisis management reveals the way that healthy families function as problem-solving systems, where each member's unique gifts and insights contribute to outcomes that benefit everyone involved, creating a model of collective intelligence that operates through cooperation rather than competition. External pressures and challenges serve to strengthen rather than weaken the bonds between family members, as they discover repeatedly that their love for each other provides resources for resilience and adaptation that extend far beyond what any individual could muster alone. The family's response to threats, whether they come in the form of supernatural phenomena, social disapproval, economic hardship, or simple misunderstandings with neighbors and community members, demonstrates that their primary loyalty is always to each other, creating a safe haven where each member knows they will be supported and protected regardless of external circumstances. The evolution of relationships within the family over time reveals the dynamic nature of healthy family systems, where roles and responsibilities shift and adapt as circumstances change and individuals grow and develop new capabilities and interests. The show portrays family bonds not as static commitments, but as living, breathing connections that must be continuously nurtured and renewed through ongoing attention, communication, and the willingness to allow each other to change and grow while maintaining the fundamental commitment to mutual support and care. The Watterson family's relationship with the broader community of Elmore illustrates the way that strong family bonds can serve as a foundation for positive engagement with the world beyond the household, as their internal unity gives them the confidence and security necessary to reach out to others, form friendships, contribute to community activities, and maintain their individual identities, while also representing their family values in social settings that sometimes challenge or misunderstand their unconventional approaches to various situations. The show's treatment of generational differences within the family reveals the complex dynamics that emerge when individuals of different ages and developmental stages attempt to understand and support each other across gaps in experience, perspective, and priority. The parents' relationship with their children demonstrates that effective family leadership involves not the assertion of authority, but rather the creation of conditions where everyone feels heard, valued, and empowered to contribute their unique gifts to the family's collective well-being and happiness. Family loyalty within the Watterson household operates according to principles that transcend simple blood relationships or legal obligations, encompassing instead a chosen commitment to stand by each other through both triumph and difficulty, to celebrate each other's successes without jealousy or resentment, and to provide comfort and support during times of struggle or disappointment. This loyalty is tested repeatedly throughout the series, yet always proves strong enough to withstand whatever challenges arise, demonstrating that genuine family bonds are forged not through genetics alone, but through consistent choice and ongoing emotional investment. The way the Watterson family handles mistakes and failures reveals their understanding that growth and learning require the freedom to make errors without fear of abandonment or permanent judgment. Their approach to accountability emphasizes restoration over punishment, understanding over blame, and the kind of forgiveness that allows relationships to emerge stronger from conflict rather than being permanently damaged by it, creating an environment where each member feels safe to take risks, experiment with new approaches, and admit when they need help or guidance. The balance between individual identity and family unity within the Watterson household demonstrates that healthy family systems allow for both personal autonomy and collective responsibility, creating space for each member to pursue their own interests and develop their unique talents, while also maintaining awareness of how their individual choices affect the well-being of everyone else in the family. This balance requires ongoing negotiation and adjustment as circumstances change and family members grow and develop new needs and capabilities. The show's portrayal of family meals, leisure activities, and shared experiences reveals the importance of creating regular opportunities for connection and communication that transcend the practical demands of daily life, household management, and external obligations. These moments of simple togetherness serve as the foundation upon which deeper bonds are built and maintained, providing space for the kind of casual conversation, playful interaction, and mutual appreciation that strengthen relationships and create lasting memories. The Watterson family's approach to problem solving demonstrates that the most effective solutions often emerge through collaboration rather than individual effort, as each member's unique perspective and capabilities contribute to understanding that none of them could have achieved alone. Their willingness to listen to each other, consider alternative viewpoints, and modify their approaches based on feedback and new information creates a model of collective intelligence that produces outcomes superior to what any single person might have accomplished through isolated effort. The resilience that characterizes the Watterson family emerges not from the absence of stress or difficulty, but from their confidence that whatever challenges arise can be faced more effectively together than apart, creating a foundation of security that allows each member to take risks, pursue goals, and engage with the world beyond the family, knowing that they have a safe harbor to return to when they need rest, comfort, or simply the reminder that they are loved unconditionally, regardless of their achievements or failures. As we drift deeper into appreciation of the beautiful complexity that defines the Watterson family dynamic, let yourself consider the ways in which your own relationships might be strengthened through greater acceptance of difference, more generous forgiveness of imperfection, and deeper commitment to the kind of unconditional love that creates space for everyone to be authentically themselves, while also contributing their unique gifts to the collective well-being and happiness of those they cherish most deeply. In the vibrant tapestry of animated worlds, few settings achieve the remarkable feat of transcending their role as mere backdrop to become living, breathing ecosystems that shape and define the stories unfolding within their boundaries, quite like Elmore, the extraordinary town that serves as both stage and supporting character in the amazing world of Gumball's exploration of family, community, and the beautiful chaos that emerges when diverse forms of consciousness attempt to coexist in shared spaces. Elmore represents far more than simply a convenient location where various adventures can unfold. It functions as a sophisticated meditation on the nature of community itself, demonstrating how environments can become characters in their own right, possessing personality, history, and the capacity to influence the behavior and development of those who call them home. The genius of Elmore as a setting lies in its creation of a world where the impossible becomes routine, where the laws of physics bend to accommodate the needs of storytelling, and where creatures from every conceivable realm of existence find ways to build lives and relationships that transcend the boundaries that would typically separate different species, personalities, and approaches to existence. This miraculous ecosystem serves as a living laboratory for exploring questions about tolerance, adaptation, and the countless creative solutions that emerge when individuals with vastly different needs and perspectives must learn to share limited resources and common spaces. The diverse anthropomorphic population that calls Elmore home represents one of the most ambitious attempts in contemporary animation to create a truly inclusive society, where difference is not merely tolerated but celebrated as a source of strength and creativity. The town's residents include beings made of paper, clouds, geometric shapes, and countless other materials and concepts, each bringing their unique properties, limitations, and capabilities to the complex web of relationships that bind the community together, despite the practical challenges that such diversity inevitably creates. The school that serves as the primary gathering place for many of the show's characters functions as more than an educational institution. It operates as a microcosm of the larger community, where young beings from radically different backgrounds learn not only academic subjects, but the far more complex lessons of cooperation, empathy, and mutual understanding that are essential for maintaining social harmony in such an extraordinarily diverse environment. The classroom dynamics between students who might be made of different materials or operate according to different physical principles create ongoing opportunities for exploring themes of acceptance, accommodation, and the creative problem-solving that emerges when standard approaches must be adapted to serve unconventional needs. The faculty and staff who oversee this educational environment demonstrate remarkable flexibility and creativity in their approaches to teaching and discipline, developing strategies that can effectively engage students whose learning styles and behavioral patterns span the entire spectrum of possibility. Their success in maintaining order and facilitating learning in such challenging circumstances serves as a testament to the power of dedication, patience, and the willingness to think beyond conventional pedagogical approaches when serving populations whose needs exceed the parameters of traditional educational models. The economic ecosystem that sustains Elmore reveals the complex web of interdependencies that must develop when community members possess such radically different capabilities, needs, and approaches to productivity and consumption. The town's businesses and services reflect the creativity and adaptation necessary to serve customers whose requirements might range from the perfectly ordinary to the utterly impossible, creating a marketplace where innovation and flexibility are not merely advantages, but absolute necessities for survival and success. The various neighborhoods and districts within Elmore each possess their own distinct character and demographic composition, creating a kind of urban geography that allows different groups to maintain their cultural identity and specialized needs, while remaining connected to the larger community through shared institutions, services, and social networks. This spatial organization demonstrates that successful diversity requires not the elimination of difference, but rather the creation of structures that allow various groups to preserve their unique characteristics while participating fully in the broader social fabric. The town's infrastructure and public services represent remarkable achievements in engineering and social organization, as they must accommodate residents whose basic needs might involve everything from conventional utilities to specialized atmospheric conditions, unique dietary requirements, or entirely novel forms of transportation and communication. The success of these systems in serving such an extraordinarily diverse population speaks to the power of inclusive design and the importance of considering edge cases when developing solutions intended to serve entire communities. Recurring background characters who populate the streets, shops, and public spaces of Elmore serve as more than mere visual texture. They function as reminders that every community contains countless individual stories and perspectives that exist beyond the main narrative focus. Each person, carrying their own history, dreams, and challenges that contribute to the overall complexity and richness of the social environment. These characters demonstrate that healthy communities are built not just on the relationships between prominent individuals, but on the countless small interactions and connections that occur between all community members in the course of daily life. The town's response to the Watterson family's frequent chaos and disruption reveals the remarkable tolerance and resilience that characterize healthy communities, where individual differences and occasional disruptions are absorbed and accommodated rather than met with rejection or punishment. Elmore's residents have learned to expect the unexpected from their most energetic family, yet they continue to welcome and include them in community activities, demonstrating that true acceptance involves not demanding conformity, but rather finding ways to work with people as they are, while maintaining reasonable boundaries and expectations. The various institutions that serve Elmore's population, from hospitals to libraries to recreational facilities, must demonstrate extraordinary creativity and flexibility in their approaches to serving such diverse clientele. These organizations succeed not through standardized procedures, but through individualized attention and the willingness to develop novel solutions for unique challenges, creating models of institutional responsiveness that could benefit communities far beyond the animated realm. The town's cultural life and recreational activities reflect the rich tapestry of traditions, interests, and forms of expression that emerge when beings from different backgrounds bring their unique heritage and creativity to shared spaces. Festivals, performances, and community gatherings in Elmore showcase not just the diversity of its population, but their willingness to share their gifts with others, creating opportunities for cross-cultural learning and appreciation that strengthen the bonds between different groups. The natural environment surrounding and interpenetrating Elmore demonstrates the importance of maintaining connection to the physical world, even in highly urbanized settings, providing spaces for recreation, contemplation, and the kind of restorative experiences that are essential for psychological and spiritual well-being. These green spaces serve multiple functions, offering opportunities for exercise and play, while also serving as neutral ground where different community members can interact in relaxed, informal settings that facilitate the development of relationships across social and cultural boundaries. The town's governance and decision-making processes, though rarely highlighted in the main narrative, must represent remarkable achievements in participatory democracy, as they successfully coordinate the needs and interests of constituents whose requirements and priorities might be literally incompatible with traditional approaches to public policy and administration. The fact that Elmore continues to function as a cohesive community despite these challenges speaks to the power of inclusive governance and the importance of developing political structures that can accommodate rather than suppress diversity. The economic relationships that sustain Elmore's marketplace reveal the complex negotiations and accommodations that must occur when trading partners possess radically different resources, capabilities, and needs. The success of these commercial relationships demonstrates that economic systems can thrive on difference rather than similarity, with each participant's unique characteristics creating opportunities for mutually beneficial exchange that would not exist in more homogeneous environments. The town's response to crises and emergencies reveals the strength of the social bonds that exist beneath the surface complexity of daily life, as residents consistently demonstrate willingness to set aside their individual concerns in order to provide assistance and support to those in need. These moments of community cooperation showcase the underlying solidarity that exists despite surface differences, proving that shared values and mutual concern can transcend even the most dramatic variations in appearance, capabilities, and lifestyle. The educational philosophy that guides Elmore's approach to child development reflects sophisticated understanding of the need to nurture each individual's unique potential, while also teaching the social skills and cooperative attitudes necessary for successful participation in diverse communities. The school's success in graduating students who are both confident in their individual identity and capable of positive relationships with others demonstrates the possibility of education that strengthens rather than suppresses diversity. The healthcare system that serves Elmore's population must represent one of the most complex and innovative medical infrastructures ever developed, capable of addressing health needs that span every conceivable form of embodied existence. The success of these services in maintaining the well-being of such a diverse population speaks to the power of medical approaches that treat each patient as a unique individual rather than attempting to force everyone into standardized treatment protocol. The transportation networks that connect different areas of Elmore and facilitate movement throughout the community demonstrate remarkable engineering creativity in accommodating residents whose mobility needs might range from conventional walking and driving to flying, teleportation, or forms of movement that defy easy categorization. The effectiveness of these systems in serving everyone's needs illustrates the importance of inclusive design that considers all users rather than optimizing for the most common requirements while ignoring edge cases. As we drift deeper into appreciation of Elmore's remarkable achievement as a functioning, diverse community, let yourself imagine the possibilities that might emerge in our own communities if we approach difference not as a problem to be solved, but as a resource to be celebrated, creating spaces where everyone's unique gifts can contribute to the collective well-being and happiness that emerges when diversity is embraced rather than merely tolerated, transforming our neighborhoods into places where belonging is determined not by conformity, but by the willingness to contribute positively to the shared life that we create together. In the sophisticated landscape of contemporary animated storytelling, few series have achieved the remarkable feat of seamlessly integrating meta-narrative elements with genuine emotional depth, quite like the amazing world of Gumball, whose groundbreaking approach to breaking the fourth wall and examining its own existence as a fictional construct serves not merely as clever postmodern commentary, but as a profound exploration of the relationship between reality and imagination, between the stories we tell and the lives we live, and between the creators who bring characters to life and the audiences who invest those characters with meaning that extends far beyond their original conception. The show's metatextual awareness represents far more than simply a collection of self-referential jokes or opportunities for clever commentary. It functions as a sophisticated philosophical framework that allows the series to examine fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and existence while maintaining the accessibility and emotional authenticity that define truly great family entertainment. The genius of Gumball's approach to meta-narrative lies in its recognition that awareness of one's fictional status need not diminish the emotional reality of the experiences being portrayed, but can instead enhance and deepen our understanding of those experiences by creating multiple layers of meaning that operate simultaneously without contradicting or undermining each other. When characters acknowledge that they exist within a television show, when they reference the conventions of animation and storytelling, when they interact directly with elements of their own production, they do not break the spell of narrative immersion but rather expand it, inviting viewers to participate in a more complex and nuanced form of engagement that encompasses both immediate emotional involvement and intellectual appreciation of the craft and artistry involved in creating meaningful entertainment. The show's commentary on animation itself reveals a deep love and respect for the medium that extends far beyond mere technical appreciation to encompass understanding of animation's unique capacity to visualize the invisible, to make concrete the abstract, and to create worlds where the impossible becomes not only possible, but emotionally truthful and philosophically meaningful. Through its constant experimentation with different animation styles, its playful manipulation of visual conventions, and its willingness to acknowledge the arbitrary nature of animated physics, while simultaneously using that arbitrariness to explore genuine themes and emotions, Gumball demonstrates that metatextual awareness can serve artistic rather than merely comedic purposes. The relationship between creators and characters within the show's universe becomes a subject of ongoing exploration, as various episodes examine what it might mean for fictional beings to possess agency and consciousness within the constraints of scripted narratives, predetermined outcomes, and the commercial demands of television production. These explorations never descend into cynicism or nihilism, but rather maintain a sense of wonder and appreciation for the collaborative nature of storytelling, where creators provide frameworks and audiences provide investment, where characters exist in the space between intention and interpretation, and where meaning emerges through the dynamic interaction between all these elements rather than being imposed by any single source. Reality glitches and anomalies within the show's universe serve as more than mere comedic devices. They function as windows into the deeper structures that underlie all narrative construction, revealing the arbitrary nature of many storytelling conventions, while simultaneously demonstrating how those conventions can be manipulated to create effects that are both surprising and emotionally resonant. When the show's reality breaks down, when characters find themselves in situations that violate the basic rules of their universe, these moments serve not to destroy narrative coherence, but to expand our understanding of what narrative coherence can encompass and how flexible the boundaries between reality and fiction can become when approached with sufficient creativity and intelligence. The show's treatment of its own production history, its acknowledgement of changes in animation style, voice actors, and creative direction over time creates a unique form of transparency that invites viewers behind the scenes without destroying the magic of the viewing experience. This transparency serves multiple functions simultaneously. It educates audiences about the collaborative nature of animation production. It creates opportunities for humor that emerges from the gap between fictional narrative and production reality, and it demonstrates that awareness of artifice need not diminish appreciation for artistry, but can actually enhance it by making visible the skill and effort required to create compelling entertainment. The meta-elements within Gumball serve the emotional core of the show by creating additional layers of meaning that reinforce rather than undermine the central themes of family love, personal growth, and community belonging. When characters break the fourth wall or reference their fictional status, these moments often occur in contexts where they emphasize the universal nature of the experiences being portrayed, suggesting that while the specific circumstances may be fantastical, the underlying emotions and relationships they represent are deeply rooted in recognizable human experience and genuine psychological truth. The series' exploration of different reality layers within its own universe creates opportunities to examine how perspective shapes experience, how different viewpoints can reveal different aspects of the same situation, and how truth itself might be multiple rather than singular, contextual rather than absolute. These philosophical explorations never become abstract or disconnected from the immediate concerns of the characters, but rather emerge organically from situations where different ways of understanding reality come into conflict or complement each other in unexpected ways. The show's relationship with its audience becomes a subject of ongoing negotiation and exploration, as various episodes acknowledge the presence of viewers while simultaneously maintaining the integrity of the fictional world being presented. This relationship is never exploitative or manipulative, but rather reflects genuine appreciation for the collaborative nature of the entertainment experience, where audiences bring their own experiences, expectations, and interpretations to bear on the material being presented, creating meanings that exceed what any single creator or creative team could have intended or anticipated. The finale's position within this metatextual framework takes on additional significance as it represents not just the end of a narrative, but a meditation on the nature of endings themselves, on what it means for stories to conclude when those stories have become integrated into the lives and imaginations of audiences who may not be ready to let go of the characters and relationships they have come to love. The meta-awareness that characterizes the show allows it to address these concerns directly, while also demonstrating that truly meaningful stories transcend their original boundaries to become part of the ongoing narrative of their audiences' lives. The show's commentary on the commercial aspects of television production never becomes bitter or cynical, but rather maintains a playful and appreciative tone that acknowledges the constraints within which creative work must operate, while celebrating the ways in which genuine artistry can flourish even within commercial contexts. This balanced perspective demonstrates that metatextual awareness need not lead to disillusionment or cynicism, but can instead create opportunities for more sophisticated appreciation of the complex ecosystem within which contemporary entertainment is created and consumed. The integration of meta-elements with traditional narrative structure reveals the show's understanding that postmodern techniques work best when they serve rather than replace classical storytelling principles, when they enhance rather than substitute for character development, emotional authenticity, and thematic coherence. The series demonstrates that awareness of one's own artifice can actually increase rather than decrease the emotional impact of storytelling by creating multiple levels of engagement that allow different audience members to find different forms of meaning and satisfaction within the same material. The show's treatment of animation conventions and tropes serves both deconstructive and reconstructive purposes, breaking down familiar patterns to examine how they work, while simultaneously rebuilding them in ways that honor their effectiveness while expanding their possibilities. This approach demonstrates respect for the traditions of animated storytelling, while also pushing those traditions forward into new territories of creative expression and emotional exploration. The relationship between different forms of reality within the show's universe creates opportunities to explore questions about authenticity, identity, and the nature of existence that might otherwise seem too abstract or philosophical for family entertainment. By grounding these explorations in concrete situations involving characters whose emotions and relationships feel genuine despite their fictional status, the series makes complex ideas accessible without oversimplifying them or reducing them to mere intellectual exercises. The show's approach to its own mortality and eventual conclusion within the metatextual framework creates space for exploring themes of legacy, memory, and the ways in which stories continue to live and evolve long after their original telling has ended. The finale becomes not just the last episode in a series, but a meditation on how narratives transcend their original boundaries to become part of the ongoing cultural conversation, influencing other creators, and continuing to provide comfort, inspiration, and insight to audiences who discover them long after their original broadcast. The meta-narrative elements ultimately serve to reinforce, rather than undermine, the show's central message about the importance of family, community, and authentic relationships by demonstrating that these values transcend any particular medium or format, that they remain constant, even when everything else about how stories are told continues to evolve and change. The awareness of fictional status becomes not a source of existential anxiety, but a reminder that the emotions and connections we form through storytelling are real and valuable regardless of the artificial nature of their origins. As we drift deeper into appreciation of how Gumball's metatextual sophistication serves its emotional authenticity, let yourself consider the ways in which all the stories we tell ourselves about our own lives blend reality and fiction, memory and imagination, intention and interpretation, creating narratives that are simultaneously artificial and genuine, constructed and authentic, temporary and eternal in their capacity to shape our understanding of ourselves and our relationships with others across the beautiful complexity of human experience. In the grand symphony of animated storytelling, few finales achieve the profound resonance and lasting significance that characterizes the amazing world of Gumball's conclusion, which transcends the boundaries of mere entertainment to become a meditation on the enduring power of family bonds, the transformative nature of love expressed through chaos, and the ways in which the stories we tell about ourselves and our relationships continue to evolve and influence our understanding of what it means to be human long after their original telling has ended. The legacy of the Watterson family extends far beyond the confines of their animated adventures to encompass fundamental truths about resilience, acceptance, growth, and the miraculous capacity of imperfect people to create spaces of belonging and joy that serve as sanctuaries against the uncertainties and challenges that define the human condition. What the Watterson family represents transcends their specific circumstances and personalities to embody universal principles about the nature of love, loyalty, and the courage required to remain authentic in a world that often rewards conformity over creativity, predictability over spontaneity, and conventional success over the kind of meaningful fulfillment that emerges when individuals dare to prioritize relationships and personal growth over external expectations and social pressures. Their example demonstrates that true strength lies not in the absence of chaos or conflict, but in the ability to navigate difficulties together, to transform challenges into opportunities for deeper connection, and to find joy and meaning in the midst of circumstances that might overwhelm less resilient family systems. The show's commentary on family dynamics reveals sophisticated understanding that healthy relationships require not perfection, but rather the willingness to accept each other's flaws while supporting each other's growth, to forgive mistakes while learning from them, and to maintain hope for positive change while appreciating what already exists. The Watterson family's ability to thrive despite their obvious imperfections serves as a powerful reminder that love is not conditional upon meeting certain standards or achieving particular goals, but rather emerges from the simple yet profound choice to remain committed to each other's well-being through both triumph and difficulty, success and failure, moments of harmony and periods of discord. The deeper meaning embedded within Gumball's finale speaks to the cyclical nature of family stories and the ways in which the patterns of love, conflict, growth, and reconciliation that define one generation inevitably influence and shape the experiences of subsequent generations, creating chains of connection that extend far beyond individual lifespans to encompass the ongoing evolution of family identity and values across time. The conclusion suggests that while specific episodes in family life may end, the underlying relationships and bonds that give those episodes their meaning continue to develop and deepen, creating legacies that persist long after particular chapters have concluded. The show's exploration of how chaos can serve as a form of love and authentic expression challenges conventional assumptions about what healthy family functioning should look like, demonstrating that order and predictability, while valuable in many contexts, are not the ultimate measures of family success or well-being. The Watterson family's embrace of beautiful messiness reflects their understanding that genuine relationships require space for spontaneity, creativity, and the kind of authentic self-expression that sometimes defies neat categorization or easy explanation, but which ultimately creates richer and more meaningful connections than would be possible within more constrained or conventional frameworks. The importance of accepting imperfection emerges as one of the finale's central themes, as the characters' journey toward greater self-awareness and mutual understanding involves not the elimination of their flaws and limitations, but rather the integration of those characteristics into a more complete and realistic appreciation of themselves and each other. This acceptance creates space for growth and change without demanding transformation as a prerequisite for love and belonging, establishing foundations for relationships that can weather the inevitable challenges and disappointments that accompany any long-term commitment to caring for others. What growing up means within Gumball's universe encompasses not the abandonment of childlike wonder and enthusiasm, but rather their integration with increasing wisdom, responsibility, and awareness of how individual choices affect others and contribute to collective well-being. The show's treatment of maturation suggests that the most meaningful forms of development involve expanding rather than contracting one's capacity for joy, curiosity, and authentic connection, learning to channel youthful energy in increasingly constructive directions, while maintaining the openness and creativity that make life worth living. The cyclical nature of family stories receives particular attention in the finale's exploration of how patterns of relationship and behavior tend to repeat across generations, while also evolving and adapting to new circumstances and challenges. The Watterson family's dynamics reflect both continuity with past generations and innovation in response to contemporary realities, demonstrating that healthy families serve as bridges between past and future, preserving valuable traditions while remaining open to new possibilities and approaches that better serve current needs and circumstances. The show's commentary on generational patterns reveals sophisticated understanding that while we inevitably carry forward certain characteristics and tendencies from our families of origin, we also possess the power to consciously shape how those patterns manifest in our own relationships, choosing to amplify positive qualities while working to modify or redirect problematic behaviors and attitudes. This recognition empowers individuals to see themselves as active agents in the ongoing evolution of their family's story, rather than passive recipients of predetermined destinies or unchangeable patterns. The finale's treatment of memory and nostalgia demonstrates that healthy relationships with the past involve neither idealization nor rejection, but rather honest appreciation that acknowledges both positive and negative aspects while focusing on lessons learned and growth achieved rather than dwelling on regrets or missed opportunities. The Watterson family's ability to learn from their experiences without being trapped by them illustrates the kind of resilient adaptation that allows families to evolve and improve while maintaining their essential identity and core values. The show's exploration of how individual growth affects family dynamics reveals the delicate balance that must be maintained between personal development and collective harmony, as each family member's journey toward greater self-awareness and capability inevitably influences the entire family system in ways that require ongoing adjustment and accommodation. The finale suggests that the healthiest families are those that support individual growth while maintaining strong connections, creating space for each member to become their best self, while preserving the bonds that make them part of something larger than themselves. The legacy of love that the Watterson family creates extends beyond their immediate household to influence their broader community and serve as an example of how families can contribute positively to the social environments in which they exist. Their approach to relationships demonstrates that the benefits of strong family bonds ripple outward to strengthen communities, schools, and other social institutions, creating networks of support and understanding that enhance everyone's quality of life and sense of belonging. The show's treatment of resilience and recovery reveals that the strongest families are not those that avoid difficulties, but those that develop effective strategies for bouncing back from setbacks, learning from mistakes, and using challenges as opportunities to discover new strengths and deepen existing bonds. The Watterson family's ability to emerge stronger from various crises demonstrates that resilience is not an innate characteristic, but rather a skill that can be developed through practice, support, and the kind of unconditional commitment that refuses to give up on relationships even when they become difficult or complicated. The finale's exploration of hope and optimism shows how these qualities can be maintained even in the face of uncertainty and challenge when they are grounded in realistic assessment of both strengths and limitations. Honest acknowledgement of difficulties that must be faced, and genuine confidence in the power of love and commitment to overcome obstacles and create positive outcomes, even from seemingly impossible situations. The Watterson family's persistent hopefulness reflects not naive denial of problems, but rather mature faith in their collective ability to handle whatever challenges arise. The show's commentary on authenticity and self-acceptance demonstrates that the most fulfilling relationships are those that allow each person to be genuinely themselves without fear of rejection or judgment, creating environments where individual quirks and characteristics are celebrated rather than merely tolerated, and where differences become sources of strength rather than division. The Watterson family's embrace of each member's unique personality and approach to life serves as a model for how acceptance can coexist with growth, how love can encompass imperfection, and how authenticity can flourish within committed relationships. The deeper meaning of the finale ultimately suggests that the most important legacy any family can create is not material wealth or social status, but rather the kind of emotional foundation that gives each member the confidence and security necessary to engage with the world as their authentic self, while maintaining the knowledge that they belong somewhere, that they matter to someone, and that they are part of a story that extends beyond their individual existence to encompass the ongoing human project of learning to love and care for each other across all the differences that might otherwise divide us. As we approach the gentle conclusion of this contemplation of Gumball's profound legacy, let yourself drift into appreciation for all the families, chosen and biological, that have contributed to your own story, recognizing that the love and acceptance you have received and given continues to ripple outward through time and space, creating connections and possibilities that extend far beyond what any individual can see or understand, contributing to the vast and beautiful network of relationships that binds all of humanity together in the ongoing adventure of learning to live with kindness, courage, and the kind of authentic joy that emerges when we dare to be genuinely ourselves while remaining committed to the well-being of those we cherish most deeply. And so our journey through the extraordinary finale of the amazing world of Gumball draws to its gentle close, like the soft settling of evening light across a landscape that has been transformed by the stories we have shared and the deeper truths we have discovered together. We have explored the profound meanings hidden within apparent chaos, witnessed the transformative power of love expressed through beautiful imperfection, and come to understand that the most meaningful conclusions are not endings at all, but doorways into new possibilities for connection, growth, and understanding. The Watterson family continues their eternal dance of joy and mayhem, their bonds strengthened rather than weakened by every challenge they face together, their love deepening with each passing day as they discover new ways to support and celebrate each other despite their obvious flaws and limitations. In their ongoing story, we find reflection of our own families, our own struggles, to balance individual identity with collective belonging, our own journey toward the kind of authentic acceptance that creates space for everyone to flourish, rests now in the knowledge that some stories never truly end but live on in the hearts and minds of those who have been touched by their wisdom and warmth. Let yourself drift into sleep, surrounded by the gentle chaos of love, the beautiful messiness of authentic relationships, and the eternal promise that tomorrow will bring new opportunities for connection, laughter, and the kind of joy that emerges when we dare to be genuinely ourselves while remaining committed to caring for each other across all the wonderful complexity of existence.